8 great movies that ruined the lives of their creators. 1. Charlie Chaplin was exiled from the US for his best film. He made fun of Hitler in The Great Dictator. The FBI branded Chaplin a premature anti-fascist. He was interrogated by a Senate subcommittee. Monsieur Verdoux was Chaplin's follow-up film. It failed at the box office. Chaplin was also embroiled in a sex scandal. In 1952, he went to London for the premiere of Limelight. Then the US revoked his passport. They suggested he stay in Europe. Limelight was boycotted in America. Chaplin vowed never to return. 2. A Trip to the Moon director could never make another film. The futuristic short film was released in 1902. Georges Méliès pioneered cinema. He had big plans for the film, but his competitors made pirated copies. Méliès received mere pennies. Meanwhile, his rivals made a fortune. There was no film copyright back then. Then Méliès set up his own studio, but Thomas Edison monopolized the industry. Méliès was forced to sell it. His films were melted down into shoes. Some of his masterpiece pictures were lost. He spent the rest of his life working at a toy stand. 3. The Misfits destroyed everyone's lives. This script was written by Arthur Miller. He and Marilyn Monroe were married at the time. John Huston was the director. Monroe starred alongside Clark Gable. It was a resounding success. But Miller and Monroe's marriage fell apart. Monroe overdosed during filming. She went into detox. She also became depressed. She died a year after the release, in 1962. Huston was drinking and gambling. Clark Gable did all the stunts himself. In one scene, a truck dragged him 400 feet. He died a few days after the wrap-up. 4. Frank Capra's career was ruined by a legendary film. He directed It's a Wonderful Life. It's still one of the most viewed films. Capra founded his own studio to shoot it. It cost Liberty Films everything. The budget didn't pay off. Capra spent the rest of his life making low-budget pictures. 5. Life of Pi bankrupted the visual effects company. Rhythm and Hughes created the digital tiger for the film. Life of Pi grossed $609 million. It also won 4 Oscars. However, Rhythm and Hughes didn't get a dime of the profits. They went bankrupt after the release. 6. The Godfather 3 was a nightmare for Sofia Coppola. Francis Coppola's daughter was harshly criticized. She gave up acting. Instead, Coppola became a recognized director. 7. The Pinocchio adaptation humiliated Roberto Benigni. He had previously starred in Life is Beautiful. It's the second highest grossing foreign language film in the US. It won 3 Academy Awards, but the 2002 film Pinocchio was a disaster. Benigni directed and acted in it. It was unfunny and poorly made. The film has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. 8. The contents of Peeping Tom were too much for the time. British filmmaker Michael Powell created a horror classic, but the critics didn't praise it in 1960. It also shocked the audience. Carl Bohm portrayed Mark Lewis. He's a serial maniac and a photographer. He takes pictures of his victims' dying faces. Powell's career went downhill after the premiere.